Alright guys, so we're going to do something a little different this time around, because I love to do Star Trek stuff every so often, and today we're going to be doing a fun video. Now normally I do this thing called non-comic lineup over on my Patreon as an exclusive over there, basically taking a superhero team and mixing it up with characters outside of comics, like from video games, anime, cartoons, stuff like that. But this time around, I thought it'd be kind of fun to do as an interesting kind of take, and how would they be, is focusing on non-comic characters and instead making them into Star Trek, like giving them Star Trek roles. Like what roles, making a crew out of a Star Trek crew out of non-comic characters. So that's the idea, is that it's a Star Trek crew made of non-comic characters. So we're going to be using characters outside of Marvel and DC and all the other comic characters. And yeah, I'm also going to talk about, like, the other thing is that they won't have in this scenario, they won't have their powers, just their personality. Because some of them are meta. So some of them are meta-human, but we're not going to include powers in this situation. It's just going to be their personalities and how close they are to other characters, and kind of talk about, like, what would that be like. So without further ado, I'm not going to do every role. It's just going to be like the top roles in like the core crew you have: Captain, First Officer, Science Officer, Chief Medical Officer, Ensign, Tactical Officer / Chief of Security, because they kind of combine those roles in some places, Chief Engineer, and Counselor. Those are like the core 8 roles. So let's get started, of course. Like, who's going to be the captain of this ship? Like, who is going to be our fearless leader? Well, our fearless leader is going to be Roy Mustang from Full Metal Alchemist. Now, first off, the name alone, right? Like, it sounds like a Star Trek captain you'd meet, like Captain Roy Mustang and his loyal crew on the SS whatever the fuck, on, you know, battling Romulans and getting laid. But yeah, Roy Mustang is very much like, I kind of imagine him a lot like Cisco, aka best Star Trek captain. It's true. So yeah, I kind of imagine him a lot like Cisco in that he's, you know, he believes he would believe in the Federation, but also like kind of question bullshit, but at the same time he's willing to protect the Federation and the people he loves. He's not afraid to cross lines, as we saw in the anime. Roy would be a fearless leader. I don't know if he would like interact with the rest of the crew, but he would definitely be like, if you fight for me, I will fight for you, and they would go to hell they would fly into the mouth of hell if need be for the Captain Mustang. If that's not a Star Trek name in the comics or extended media, that should be a thing. Get on that, authors. So yeah, Roy Mustang is our captain on this ship. Now let's move on to First Officer. You always need a First Officer to complement the captain. And that, ladies and gentlemen, for our First Officer is Marco Diaz from Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Now, why Marco? Like, Marco is the last person you'd think as First Officer. Well, here, Marco's younger. He's also like, if we're going by like Star Trek standards, he'd be seen as a young prodigy who's like moving through the ranks and like training under Mustang to be a captain. I think he would have proved himself by this point, and also, unlike Mustang, who's willing to like bend the rules and whatnot, and also, you know, think logically. That's the other thing, is that going back to Roy real quick, is that when I was thinking of this, I didn't want to have like a cowboy kind of like yippee whippy kind of like shoot from the hip like Kirk or Pike, because I know a lot of people are going to do that, so I went the opposite direction. But Marco, on the other hand, while Roy would be like, yeah, I'm going to do this, Marco would be like, you know, where's the ethics in that? I think these two would kind of like complement each other and also butt heads. I do think Marco would have a lot of respect for Mustang, and Mustang in turn would be like, you know, you're seeing it from a different angle than I am. Also, Marco would, if Roy is too cold and like a little too distant from his men, from his crew, Marco's there to kind of like be the bridge between the two. So that's why I picked Marco as my First Officer. Now we move on to Science Officer. Oh boy, it's Washu. Washu from Tenchi Muyo is none other than our Science Officer. So, let's be real. In my head, there was no other choice but Washu, because when you really think about it, Washu is just it would just be absolute fun. And I think the other thing is that she would be a lot like, kind of like a super smart version of Quark, just this absolute asshole, but she knows everything. And I think it would be a lot of fun to have her as a star, like this, because most science officers in Star Trek are these, calm and reserved, and some of them are kind of haunted by some dark past. Washu would be like, no, I'm just I'm gonna make shit up as I go along, and we're gonna have fun. Like, I'm gonna be, because that's the thing in media, right? Like, there's only two ways to do a science character in your stories. They're either stoic or they're batshit crazy. Washu walks that line on a tightrope. So that was kind of my thinking for that, was that let's have Washu be the science officer. How fun would that be? All right, now moving on to Chief Medical Officer. And our Chief Medical Officer for this ship is Katara. Again, she doesn't have water bending in this, but she is known as a healer. And Katara would definitely be a kind of she'd be very much like Crusher in a way, where she has a heart, but also she's not afraid to, also be that kind of kick in the ass to everyone. And I don't think she would fear Roy, because Katara don't fear no man. So, Katara would be like, if there's a crew member who's injured and Roy's like, I need him back on his station, she's like, he's not going anywhere. You want to fight about it, I get final say on patients. So, that Katara would stand up to Mustang. I think she would also be like a great foil for his kind of coldness at times. Again, I know he's not totally cold. He's just kind of like, I get the job done and I fight for my men. That's really it. So, but Katara, even without the water bending, I think she would still be a medical officer. I think she'd also be like, yeah, you're great, but also get the fuck out of my medical bay. I've got actual wounded patients. Alright, so, there's our Chief Medical Officer. Next up is our Ensign, and our Ensign is Finn from Stormhawks. Finn would be so much fun to have as Ensign, because again, he's a pilot, he's a cocky pilot kind of character in his own right, and I would love to see him just as like, yeah, I've gotten about 5, he's like leaning back in his chair, he's like, yeah, I've gotten about 15 violations, but I fly so good, no one can stop me. I also think he would be like just an annoyance to Roy. I think Roy would just completely be like, Ensign Finn, please, with the ship. He's like, yeah. You didn't say please. I did. Can you say it again? I will fucking shoot you out of an airlock, boy. I'm going. So, but Finn, he definitely would have that kind of cockiness to him. That kind of also like, you want to escape a horde of like a Klingon armada? I'm your guy. So there you go. Now we move on to Chief of Security / Tactical Officer, and that is Yor from Spy X Family. This was probably one of the hardest roles I was trying to think of, because I was like, God, I can't think of a proper one. I really can't think of a proper get a good character. But then I really thought about it. I was like, yeah, Yor would be pretty neat. Yor would be probably the best pick for this scenario, because when you think Chief of Security, you think like someone like Worf, where they're big and they're tough. But then I thought Yor, she'd be scary because you wouldn't suspect it. Like, she'd be in her Chief of Security uniform, and she'd be, if you're causing a ruckus in the lounge, and then all of a sudden Yor comes in and is like, excuse me, you need to, you're coming with me. He's like, no. The guy's like, no, I'm not. Next thing you know, you are flat on your back, and then you were in the brig. So Yor definitely has that, where where she speaks softly and carries a very big phaser. And in the heat of battle, there'd be no one else you'd trust more than Yor, right? Alright, now moving on to Chief Engineer. And when I was making this, when I thought of this, the first person I thought of was the role for Chief Engineer, and it's Tali. Tali from Mass Effect. The reason why I picked Tali was because she's an amazing engineer. That ship would be, the Normandy wouldn't be the ship it was if it weren't for Tali being a part of that crew. And also, like, the Quarians could definitely fit in the Star Trek universe. In fact, all the alien races could fit in the Star Trek universe, honestly. But Tally would be a lot of fun. She would be definitely someone who would be willing to fight and willing to fight at a moment's notice, but also there to to take care of the ship and make sure it hums it just hums like an angel, or whatever the fuck the term is. All right, and finally, our counselor. Our counselor for this is Jazz Fenton. Who better to have in the counselor role than someone who's trying to become a counselor in the show? Yeah, Jazz Fenton, Danny's sister. Jazz, I definitely see as a lot of Deanna Troi, where she'd be very empathetic and caring, but also be like, oh god, Jesus, Barkley. But yeah, this was another role where I was like, yeah, when I thought, oh yeah, I want to have a counselor on this lineup. Oh yeah, Jazz, she's perfect. But yeah, I do see her as like another great foil for Roy, and also someone who would be the only person who could get him to talk. And even then, she'd be like, I got him to talk for 5 minutes. That's the most ever. Anyway, so there you go, guys. That is pretty much my non-comic Star Trek crew. You guys tell me in the comments below, what non-comic characters would you have in a Star Trek crew? For your Federation ship or whatever. Just comment below, let me know. You got have fun with it. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.